I'm doing episode 2 about my FND help series, and today I am going to be covering off kind of the magic FND pill. If you are anything like I am, and I'm seeing quite a common kind of personality with people with FND, is you're very driven, you're very pragmatic, you're always looking for solutions and very diligent, and that's what I was looking for at the start. I was looking for what is the medication I need to get rid of FND. And that was my sole focus at the very beginning. Now, what worked for me was really a mix of things. When I first got diagnosed with FND, between getting diagnosed and getting to the FND clinic, really I went to about 55 different doctor, GP, therapist, speech therapist, physical therapist, psychiatrist appointments during a 3-month period. It was so toxic for me mentally and physically that I realized after that I just needed to stop. I actually needed to stop trying to get better and actually understand and listen to my... First and foremost, the psychologist I work with for 2 years was instrumental to me getting better. And by better, I mean the ability to go back to work, be able to be in social environments, be able to deal with these things, because she took me through the cognitive therapy approach. In addition to that, also speech therapy. One of the areas that I really struggled was with my speech and the ability to push out words. That was a huge struggle for me. And the speech therapists really made a difference in me starting to understand what was involved in the speech and starting to break down the elements of my speech and the way I was moving my mouth. You need to understand what your symptoms are, because that's the approach you're going to need to go towards. I had cognitive issues, I had physical issues, I had the speech, I had the social anxiety, the panic attacks, the spasms. And so these were the things that I tried to really focus on. And so the next item that was so debilitating for me and I was able to get support on was with my GP getting me for the anxiety where I couldn't even leave the house. I ended up taking medication for that. Now, again, this is my experience. You need to speak to your GP about your journey and your symptoms, but that has helped me through that process. The other thing that really helped me for my speech element, what I realized in speaking to the speech therapist was that this whole part of my face, and this is where I also had at the start drooping on this side of the face, and I still get that when I'm extremely exhausted and I've overdone it. I'll start to feel the droopiness in this eye and this side, but it passes. And that's the thing also with the panic attacks, I learned they will pass. It's so terrifying, never having experienced any of this. It's such a confronting element. And even with the medication, it wasn't a silver bullet. I had to slowly expose myself. And this is the other thing that you need to start doing with some of these symptoms, is slowly exposing yourself to whatever it is that you're struggling with. Social anxiety was a huge problem for me. So we made a conscious effort as a family to go out more into environments where I would be challenged. And I would be challenged in a crowd of people, and to feel the panic attack and try to work through it. Now, one of the things that you really need to know is everything that I'm telling you about today, I went through a journey of the past 2 years. 2 years of trying so many different things. So just to recap, the psychologist was instrumental. I did take medication for my anxiety. I did go to the speech therapist, which was extremely helpful. I did also go to an eye specialist to go and work out, because vision, was also one of the debilitating things for me, particularly at the start with the depth and everything that was closer to me. The floor looked closer and everything in the distance looked a lot like distorted. Both were distorted. So I went to the eye specialist and did all the tests. Everything looked great. So really with that, I actually ended up going to a neuro-physio. And I actually would have loved to have continued that, but it was a bit of a distance from my house. And so I did a few sessions and went out that way. But what I found personally is I really struggle, particularly in the past, in actually getting to treatment that's far. It was almost more exhausting than the reward I would have. And even my psychologist visits, I did them online. And so that's kind of not a cheat, but there are little hacks that you need to also apply. You can't do all of these changes at once. That is the reality of FND. Is a Jekyll and Hyde scenario for me. So whilst I'm gusto and I'm feeling pumped that morning and I'm like, yeah, I can go to the neurophysio out and it's a 20-minute trip and all the rest of it. By the time I get there, I'm exposed to a new environment, I have a few symptoms, it's all overwhelming. So whilst I would still recommend a neurophysiotherapy because they specialize in the nervous system and the cognitive element and retraining you as part of that process. The other thing that I actually had a lot of benefit with is, I kind of segued away from this, but with my jaw, because of all the tensing, I ended up going for a dentist check, and it was so surprising because during the dentist check, I was telling her about how I've forever had grinding issues, and I think that's where the FND element, everything just came to a head. And she was like, why don't you try Botox in your jaw for grinding? And I kid you not, I had never heard of Botox to be put into your jaw for that grinding specifically. But what that did is it actually really, really helped in loosening these areas, particularly so that at night I wasn't grinding, and then that didn't exacerbate any stress that I was harnessing in this area during the day at work or with other scenarios. I did try, because I thought, oh my God, Botox is the answer for everything. So I did try to actually use Botox on my bottom jaw in the hope that it will kind of be the magic pill for around my mouth area. That didn't work as well. Look, I think I tried it once and I think it was just a bit overwhelming in getting it around this area and my concern. I don't know if it was me being overly protective, but I didn't see huge amount of value versus just doing the jaw. Just doing the jaw, I saw a huge difference. And so that's the one that I would definitely recommend if you, similar to me, have had the struggles around that. Also, I struggle with noise. And I say noise because sometimes it's actual noise, sometimes it's just noise with so much going on around me when I'm exhausted. So I have found immense help, and maybe it's a no-brainer for some, but it was new to me because I always knew about the earplugs that were just the ones, the ugly yellow ones that you have at bed or if you're traveling, etc. But loops are an amazing headphone, like a head blocker, earphone, not an earphone, an earplug, and they come in colors. I've got one for concerts and I've got one for sleep. And when I'm out and about, I find they hugely help just drown out enough of the noise for me to be able to focus on the task ahead of me and what I'm actually trying to go through. Is earphones. Earphones are amazing. I'm often walking around my earphones and I'm using them, and they are a huge help to me. The other thing that I use when I'm actually out and I'm trying to distract me is I talk about how I lost my mind there for the first year and a half by way of everything just went so quiet. And I honestly feel that was a huge part of the FND. And I actually thought with FND, for me, it was something broke. I genuinely thought that something had broke in my body because of the stress and anxiety. But I actually, now, as I've been on this journey for some time, I actually feel like it was my body shutting down layers in protecting me. And why I think that is because literally after about a year and a half, I went through this process where we had just come back from, I just had started working and things were going good and I was so happy to be back at work, and I started to get my life together. And you know what? I said, who cares? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. If I can't speak properly, if I have these symptoms, it doesn't matter. And I started to have this mindset, and oh my God, mindset and changing your mindset. I cannot stress that enough. I know you've heard this and the meditation, but mindset and meditation have changed my life with FND. It has made a huge difference. And I have actually stopped my spasms at night. Every night for 2 years, I would go to bed or I would be resting and I would have spasms and tics and convulsions and what have you. They have stopped through the power of me being focused on my body and repeatedly saying, there is no need for me to be spasming anymore. There's no need, there is no fear, there is no stress, there is no concern. And I have been drilling that on for that whole 2 years. And what has changed is, I am finally in a good, me to another factor. Removing elements of stress in your life is a huge piece of the puzzle. When I went back to work for a couple of months after I was diagnosed, I actually got so much worse. And my symptoms got worse and my life became like a bit of a living hell. And I laugh because that's all you can do is just, okay. And I literally was forced to say, I can't work. I need to take some time off. And this is me who I wasn't able to speak. Half my face was drooping. That evening, my husband took me to the hospital, but I was sitting at that afternoon at my son's friend's birthday party saying to a good girlfriend who sat me down and said, Nada, you need time off. I'm like, I can't take time off. I can't take time off. I took time off and I swear it saved me. It saved me in so many ways. I was able to focus on my family, myself, and it was the best investment of time that I could have possibly done for my FND symptoms. Yes, at the end of it, I ended up taking a year off, but to be honest, I'm someone who loves to work. It was part of me, but I actually went back with a whole different mindset. It isn't a battle. It isn't, trying to succeed and build and build and build. Once I removed that mindset and started to be appreciative of everything that I have, everyone that I have, and just being, everything started to come together. And going back to my point around the mind, the noise came back. It was insane. It was literally insane that after a year and a half, just the thinking at night, the thinking in the day, I was like, holy cow, my brain is back. But I realize now it was always there, but it was almost a protective measure. And this is how I've been able to go back to work. And I'm great at work. I love work. And I'm actually doing well because I know it and I'm passionate about it and I love it. And it's so fascinating the things that I struggle with now, and how with work it's more of a physical struggle because I'm just so tired rather than unable to work. It's the strangest things where the Jekyll and Hyde element of FND is just so baffling. And while I have accepted I have FND, accepting that I'm going to have it forever, hell no. And I want to push this positivity, and that's why I'm sharing these things, because I don't want you to feel like rock bottom is where you're staying, because it doesn't have to be. I feel that whilst I'm still have the symptoms, I still struggle, I have life. And having my family and friends makes a huge difference. And this is going back to my point about removing the key boulders of stress in your life. I had to do big decisions in order to reduce the stress in our lives. And that means I'm not socializing as much, but that's okay, because the time that I spend with the people that I spend is so much more important. And it is about being in the moment. If you spend the day just taking the time to be in the moment, you will see the difference. And it isn't going to happen overnight, and it isn't going to happen, tomorrow. This took me every day. I did meditation for 5 minutes. It's not even, even if you did 1 minute of meditation every day, the way in which you can change you, your body, and your FND, I hope will be the same as me, where yes, it's hard. Every day is hard. Every day is FND, but the love and happiness I now appreciate and have in my life is huge and worth to me more than anything, financial or tangible or anything. So I know I've kind of ranted on, but just to recap, therapy was brilliant. Speech therapy was brilliant. A neuro physiotherapist, brilliant. The meditation, if you can, 1 minute a day, I guarantee you, starting to visualize and get that mindset makes a huge difference. Also, try and remove the boulders of stress in your life. I don't say strip everyone out and cut everyone out and you feel already like you're isolated on your couch and you're saying, well, I've already lost everyone. It's not about that. It's about trying to do one thing for you. Push yourself that little bit that will get you. I've been on that couch. I've been in that bed. It was a struggle. It still is a struggle some days walking down to get the post down the street. It's about pushing yourself enough to move forward, but without pushing yourself so much that you go back. And that's why it is so important, the things that you choose to do, if any, out of what I've suggested, the earphones, also listening to books. Again, distraction. Wow, I have lost the ability to walk after going to an event and literally barely made it to the couch. And I've sat on the couch and watched a reality TV show, something that made me laugh, something to take my brain away somewhere else. And then I was okay. I stopped the shaking. I was able to regroup myself. After half an hour distracting myself, I'm able to get up. It's amazing once you start tapping into your body and your mind, the changes that you can start developing as part of your FND. Got irritable bowel syndrome. That has also plagued me during my FND journey. One of the things that my doctor recommended, which made a huge difference to me, literally day one after changing my diet, was a low FODMAP diet. I'd never heard of it before. If you haven't, definitely worth checking out if you have issues with an irritable bowel as a result of your FND. I saw changes literally the next day with changing my diet. It is quite stringent, and the whole purpose around it is that you try it for a month or 2 months or 3 months, and then you start to introduce food back in to your diet and see what really irritates you more than other things. Anyway, work to treat for me. So I hope this video has helped. There is a lot of information in there. Honestly, if you watch no other one of my videos, but you watch this one, it is literally filled with tips and helpful things that I have found beneficial and has gotten me to this point. If you have any questions, drop a comment, DM me. I'd love to hear from you. I wish you all the best, both Micro and I, who's been I can't even begin to tell you how much this little one, oh my God, he's been my savior too. But he's very tired after a big walk. Wishing you all the best. Take care.